The fluorescent lights hummed a monotonous tune above the surprisingly pungent aroma of cheddar. Reception wasn't what anyone expected at Gouda Associates'. The desk, a colossal wheel of Swiss cheese, dominated the small office. Its gaping holes, some large enough to fit a cat, served as quirky, if impractical, storage for pens and sticky notes. Agnes, the receptionist, a woman whose smile could curdle milk, perched precariously on a stool crafted from a giant parmesan rind. Her fingers, stained a jaundiced yellow, expertly navigated a tiny keyboard nestled within one of the larger cheese cavities. Mr. Henderson, a nervous man in a too-tight suit, approached the desk. He adjusted his tie, his eyes darting nervously from the cheese desk to Agnes, who regarded him with an expression somewhere between bored disdain and mild disgust. "Good morning," he stammered, his voice barely audible above the hum of the lights. "I have an appointment with Mr. Gouda." Agnes, without looking up, pointed a pen, miraculously not lodged in a cheese hole, towards a small sign wedged precariously in a particularly large cavity. The sign read, in wobbly, cheese dust-covered letters, "Appointments are handled through the Gruyere portal. Please insert your appointment confirmation into the designated hole." Henderson's eyes widened. He fumbled in his pocket, retrieving a crumpled piece of paper. He cautiously inserted it into the specified hole, which promptly made a loud squeaking sound as the paper disappeared into the cheesy depths. Agnes smirked, a faint hint of amusement flickering in her eyes. Suddenly, a miniature elevator, made entirely of brie, ascended from within the cheese desk. A small, dapper man emerged, dressed in a perfectly tailored suit and bearing a striking resemblance to a tiny, sophisticated mouse. He introduced himself as Mr. Gouda, his voice surprisingly deep and resonant for his diminutive stature. The meeting proceeded in an atmosphere of bizarre normalcy. Henderson discussed his project amidst the cheesy aroma and the constant hum of the lights. He learned that Mr. Gouda, despite his unusual office setup, was a sharp and highly respected businessman. As he left, Henderson glanced back at the cheese desk, a strange mix of bewilderment and fascination etched on his face. He knew he'd never forget his appointment at Gouda Associates, the office where business was conducted, quite literally, within the holes of a giant cheese wheel.